Hi, my name is Dalal Halou, and I am an alumna of the University of Georgia. I majored in International Affairs and Arabic. So I'm going to give you a brief general history of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. It all kind of starts in 1948 when Israel was created. Before that, you did see a general movement of the Jewish population going to Palestine, is what it was called. It was kind of colonized by the British before 1948, and so you saw kind of in the beginning, kind of 100 years previously, you saw more of an Arab population, at least 250,000, at least. I'm not sure about that number. It could be 750,000, not sure. And then you kind of see a general increase of the Jewish population over the years. So after 1948, after World War II and the Holocaust, the nations that composed the United Nations came together and wanted to give the Jewish people a homeland to go back to due to the influence of the Zionist movement within several countries like America and Britain. The Zionist movement is basically a movement that strongly believes in a Jewish homeland for the Jewish people to live in and govern. So there were several options considered, but Israel was the strongest option. So after the War of 1948, Israel was founded. And many huge numbers of Palestinian people were kicked out of the country during 1948 and during that conflict, and that was called the Nakba, which means catastrophe in Arabic. So get distracted when people walk by. Okay. Yeah, so that's where the term right of return comes from. The right of return applies to the Palestinian people who were kicked or had to migrate out of their homeland because of the pressures of war and fear of losing their homes, which they actually did end up losing, because when they returned, they often found people who had taken over their homes, or they were not even allowed to enter the country again. So fast forward from 1948, there's still some conflict going on. Many people are being killed on both sides. And the next biggest war is in 1967, Six-Day War. You saw several parties taking part in that, not only Israel, but Egypt, Jordan, and that was a really famous war because there's kind of some debate about who started. Did Israel start it? Was it preemptive? Did Egypt start it? Were they threatening Israel too much? So as a result of that war, that was when Israel took over the Gaza Strip and West Bank and Golan Heights. This is a pro-Palestinian argument, obviously, but it's illegal under international law to occupy lands that you take in war, which is why many people have issues with Israel's occupation of Gaza and the West Bank, in addition to several human rights violations that are occurring. So because of that war, that's why you're seeing so much conflict in Gaza and the West Bank and the Golan Heights today, because these lands are contested. People want to be free. In general, all Palestinians believe that all of Israel is Palestine, but those areas specifically, West Bank, Gaza, and Golan Heights, are Palestine. And that's, when people talk about a two-state solution, they're talking about Gaza and West Bank being free from Israel and having their own autonomy. And so, fast forward throughout time, and you're still seeing a lot of conflict. In particular, there are time periods called the Intifada, which means the uprising, and that's when Palestinian people kind of rebelled against the Israeli government. And there were lots of violence on both sides, lots of lives lost. There were two of those, most recent being the early 2000s, I think. And then you have now, and you see Hamas is a political party that has control of Gaza. Fatah, PLO, has control of the West Bank, and then Israel obviously has its own government. And you see all these political parties now kind of unable, even the Palestinians can't really get along. Those two parties are so different. So that's kind of what's going on now, why there's no solution.